Okay, so it's my pleasure to introduce to you Chris Harmon. So actually, I met Chris at the MUFON Symposium this year. Um, Chris was very energetic, very enthusiastic, very positive. He was always right down up front. You could tell he didn't want to miss anything. And there's a lot of people asking questions of him too. Chris, what about this? Chris, what about that? So, and he always had an answer, very knowledgeable and very passionate about what he's doing. He's also in the ERT team. So his official bio is Chris Harmon, a MUFON certified field investigator, ERT member, and STAR team member. He is also a well-known psychic, remote viewer, psychic healer, and a remote viewing instructional teacher. Chris also appears on a paranormal show called Something Wicked and has appeared on documentaries and various podcasts such as the Paracast and Broadcast Team Alpha. Chris also does professional photography work on the side. Chris is 44 years old and currently resides in Illinois. Minnesota MUFON, please give a nice round of applause and a big warm welcome to Chris Harmon and his psychic remote work and time travel. Give him a round of applause.
Harmon, I'm a psychic remote viewer. I do psychic healing and psychic influencing, which we'll be discussing that today. I'll start off by telling a little bit about myself. I'm a contactee. In fact, I had an encounter a few nights ago. I've had contact since I was a child. We'll come to find out as I got older, what they were trying to tell me was that I had the abilities to help other people. I had the abilities to go around and heal and help people who needed, let's say they were getting ready to choke or getting ready to pass out, or just different things people needed help with. I was always there, always able to lend assistance. I didn't find that out till later on in life. As these encounters progressed, I began to get downloads of information. And through all that, through the encounters, through the things that I experienced and the beings that I witnessed, they were telling me they wanted me to help other people. They were giving me the ability to heal and help, as well as psychic abilities. Psychic work came in from the time I was a child. As I got older, those psychic abilities began to become more dominant. I began to study and learn more, and was able to harness my abilities out farther. And then later in life, I learned about psychic remote viewing, which is a very unique tool because going through all the encounters and all that, I'm able to work with my ETs, my spirit guides, angels, and everything to make this remote viewing work even better. Also, the healing as well. Remote viewing is a very, very wonderful tool because you can use remote viewing for so many different things. Like you can use it to find lost objects, missing children. You can find, like, let's say somebody lost their wedding ring, the cell phone, car keys, or maybe somebody's been kidnapped, like a child has been kidnapped, and which I recently worked on a missing child's case a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, I guess it was. But yeah, you can use this tool to find out where these objects and things are. Like the child I found out was she was kidnapped, she was being held, and I was through my work with remote viewing, I was able to bring that child back home to her family. I also do healing as well, and healing you can use healing to like aches and pains, arthritis, even cancer, leukemia. If you do healing well enough, and it takes a lot of practice and time and effort, you can take away those illnesses, those cancers and leukemia. But how this all began for remote viewing goes back to the like World War II days when people were using these psychic tools to spy on like the Allies. And after more people began to use this tool to that's how we conquered some of our wars, was being able to spy on the Allies and knowing when the attacks were going to come. And that's pretty much how it began. And then later on, there was more people that began to learn this tool and use this tool to help the world in a way. And that's what I do with my tools. With all these psychic abilities that I have, I use all three of these tools: the viewing, the healing, and the influencing to help people, to help the world. Because I'll have people that come to me wanting to know where something is that they misplaced, or like that missing child's case I did a few weeks ago, when I was able to bring that child back home because I was able to pinpoint where the location was, license plate numbers, house numbers, the exact details of the place, the building, the whole area basically, and being able to bring her back home. Now, for those of you who I'm sure are wondering exactly how does this tool work? Well, what happens is for me, and I've had this since I was a kid, is I will be just going about my day and I'll get like a feeling. And the feeling comes over me quite strong because if it's a good feeling, like something good is going to happen, then I'll get the information as well as that comforting feeling. Like this is telling me that I need to go and do this. Maybe my left side of my brain and my feelings are saying I would like to do this, but I got a feeling that's coming to me that's telling me I need to do this, like go this direction in life, or maybe I'm deciding, do I want to buy something, like maybe I want to buy a new car or something. I would get a feeling like no, don't buy this car. You need to look elsewhere, and feelings can be like good or bad feelings too. Like if I'm working with somebody or just working out on a case, or maybe I'm working on fixing something like outdoor work or something, I'll get a feeling like a good or a bad. But what these feelings do is they guide me through life because I'm able to use these feelings to make changes in life. Like everybody has moments in life where it's like you really want to do something, but you got this like something that says maybe you shouldn't. Well, that is your psychic side, because your left side of the brain is the brain that tells you what what you'd like to do. I'd like to go to this concert, or I'd like to buy this new Cadillac, or I'd like to go to this restaurant or go on this vacation. But there's always that psychic side that kind of gives you that feeling like, no, don't do this instead, or watch out, this is going to be dangerous. But a lot of people ignore those feelings because those feelings like that come to them. They ignore it because what they want to do, which is their left side of the brain, the side we normally use, is telling them, oh, you really want to do this, do it. But they don't listen to the right side of the brain as much. And sometimes they wish they had. Well, that's what happens to me, but only my feelings are a lot stronger because of all the spirit guides, ET friends, and just the psychic abilities alone. My feelings are a lot stronger. But what I've done over the years is I've trained myself to be able to decipher what feelings represent what. Like if it's a good feeling, I'll get a sense of calmness. If it's a feeling of don't or watch out, then I'll get kind of like a not so much a sickening feeling, but just like a sense of dread comes over me. And then if it's my ETs that are contacting me, then I'll get like almost like a tingling in the head, and I'll hear like a slight voice that and then the words come to me. So by using and deciphering all of these that I've trained myself over the years to decipher these feelings, I'm able to help people in a much greater way because I'm able to instantly know what feelings are what to give that person or that place or whatever the help they need. Doing a remote viewing a case, most people would normally do a case on paper. And what happens is they will have like, 7 or 8 sheets of paper. And then using the tools because I teach remote viewing in MUFON, but I also teach the public during the week. So if you want to take a psychic remote viewing course, just contact me, and then we'll sign you up. It's $100 course. But what the process is, you would have sheets of paper in front of you, and you're going to write down all the information that you feel. And I stress this when I teach remote viewing is don't think, because when you think, you're using the left side of the brain. And that side of the brain does not tell you the information you want. It's coming from over here on your right side. This is where your spirit guides, or it could be past family members like ancestors, or maybe if you're having ET contacts, they could come to you as well, and they help you, give you the information that you need, that you need to know. And for me, the information just comes to me. I don't have to ask for it or request it. They just give it to me. Like I'll be writing down the information, like it's a house location, Vermont, northeast. I'm seeing a brown truck, license plate number 6795. Let's say, making that number up. There's 2 occupants inside the vehicle. One is a small child, approximately 12. And I write all this information down on paper during the process. And then I would take this information after I get my 5, 6, or even 7 pages done. once I'm sure I got the answers that I need, I would then submit this to whoever I'm doing the case for, and relay the information to them. Maybe even give them a copy of the work. But I've trained myself that I can do remote viewing up here in my head, because I can just close my eyes and see the information coming to me. And then what I do is when the information comes to you and you got it all written on paper, you then form a puzzle, which is what you're doing is you're forming a puzzle, because you got like information like brown tires, license plate. Okay, it must be a pickup truck. And then you keep on writing, wheels, outdoors. And then you start seeing, like, you'll close your eyes and you can envision the area that you're at. You'll see like signs, stop signs, street signs, lots of trees, bushes. Swing sets, must be a playground. And then you start putting the puzzle together. And once you get the puzzle completed, then you have your answer. You could go and rescue that child, or find that missing wedding ring. Like I did, a woman contacted me last year because she lost her wedding ring. And doing remote viewing as quickly as I could, I was able to help her find that wedding ring. It was on where she sleeps at night in the bed, and it fell back underneath the bed frame. You can also use this tools for various things. Like, let's say you have somebody that has an illness. They're suffering from COVID-19, or maybe at stage 4 cancer. I teach and I also use what is known as remote healing. Remote healing is a very interesting uh, way to work a person's health issues, because with this way I teach this, you can use this to literally, and it may take 2 or 3 sessions, you can literally cure somebody from an illness that they have. And I have scientifically proven this, that you can actually cure somebody with this tool. You can remove the arthritis, you can remove the COVID-19 or the leukemia or the cancer. I'm not saying that you do this one time and they're cured. You may have to do this 3 or 4 times, but with this, you're able to make an impact. Now, the key that makes remote viewing and healing and all of this work is 2 things. Number one, having the heart for it, the determination, and the ability to sit down and let the spirit guides, let the environment surround you, let it come to you, and then you put the information out on paper. And what's unique about this is once the information starts coming, sometimes you cannot quit writing, because you just hear so much coming to you, and it kind of gets intense. And sometimes it'll get so intense that you may also remote view outside of the target area. Like, let's say you're looking for someone's lost wallet. Well, you might remote view the wallet. You might get information where the wallet is, but you might also start picking up other things. And the reason for that is because as our minds travel to the location, we start finding other things that are interesting. Like, some people may love flowers or flower beds. So if you're working a case involving something outdoors, you might get fixated on the flowers, and you could actually start describing the flowers and get a little ways off the target. But that's okay, because you can always stop and then clear your mind for a second, and then go back in and continue and get back on track. I worked with a case here recently for Texas cattle mutilations for MUFON. And doing this, I was able to communicate with the ETs. And during my remote viewing session, I asked the ETs, why are you taking all the cattle? And they said, no, we're taking it for food, but we're not taking all the cattle, just enough for our base. And during the session, I was able to pinpoint that their base is on the back side of the moon. And they're taking the meat from the cattle and storing it on the back side of the moon, because that is where they're keeping their food and supplies. Now, they have another location, I believe it's on Mars, but what they were telling me was they were doing all of this for a feed for their stock on the other side of the moon. That's where they keep their supplies. But I asked them, I said, why are you taking all the cattle? And they said, no, we're not taking all the cattle, just enough to for our supplies. And I quote what they said to me during the session. They said, we are one cohesive unit, please share. Now, what that meant was that we are all one family, which we are, because you know the old saying, one nation under God. Well, same thing with the ETs. We're all one family under God, but they don't call it God. They call it the higher being, if I'm not mistaken. but they weren't taking all the cattle. They said just enough that they needed for their supplies that they wanted us to share, and we should. And so that was pretty interesting because wasn't the first time I'd ever remote viewed ETs, but I've had contact since I was a child, but that was the first time I'd ever done a session, an 8-page session on ETs. Now, if you were to take my remote viewing course, I would teach you how to make safe and peaceful contact if you wanted to learn. But during my course that I teach for remote viewing, it's an 8-week course, and I teach you the tools to be able to find lost items or missing children or anything you want to search for. And here's the best part about this. Every person out there that can see and hear my voice, you have the ability to remote view. Everyone has the ability. It's a matter of tapping into that psychic side of your brain. And I teach you how to access that further. Because right now, a lot of people have their left side of their psychic side is blocked off. The reason it's blocked off is because of bills, car payments, just various things that go on in life. You're so left-sided that you no longer have access over here. It closes off. You're born with it open, but as you begin to walk, talk, and interact and do things, it begins to close off. And through my teaching, I can guarantee everybody will have their side opened up further, and they can be accurate remote viewers. I've never taught one person that has not been able to become a remote viewer. And I teach it in a real simple and pleasant way that everybody has fun. It's enjoyable, and we have homework assignments, but they're excellent. We all interact and get together and have a lot of fun, because the best way to do remote viewing is to enjoy it. If you're doing a remote viewing assignment, you're gonna find it tough, because if you don't just relax and let the information come to you, if you try to think too hard, focus, or worry, you're gonna fail. And the way I teach everybody is just they relax and they work the sessions, they do they listen to the class, they do the work, and then everybody walks away just doing fantastic. In fact, I just got done certifying a group of students as remote viewers this past Thursday. I certified, I think, 8 or 9 students as remote viewers. Now they're ready to move on to the next course of remote healing, and which is fantastic. They're looking forward to it. But now there are dangers to remote viewing, and I stress there are dangers, because when you do remote viewing, you can get lost. And what I mean lost is like sucked in, because you can work a case for like the government, like a murder case, and you can get so involved in the case that you take on those person's abilities. And I'll give you an example. A gentleman who was doing a remote viewing assignment, I won't give out names, but he was doing an assignment for a murder case. When he got done, he did not properly like cleanse himself, like get up and go through a cleansing station to get rid of what was attached to him. He didn't know he had an attachment, because as far as he knew, everything was fine. So this gentleman is heading home. He left the office, he's heading home, and on the way home, he's thinking about everything he has to get done. Oh, it's Friday night, so I got to mow the yard, sweep out the garage, wash the car, get groceries, kill the wife, and he stops. Now, what was that? And he goes, okay, wash the car or mow the yard, yes. Clean out the garage, okay. Get groceries, wash the car, kill the wife. Oh, he knew right then that something was wrong, because he knew, based on just the way he put that, he was going to do it. So he had to get out, cleanse himself, which basically consists of clearing your mind, clear your head, and put in positive thoughts, and then continue on. But if he hadn't noticed that, he probably would have done it. And so that is one danger to remote viewing, is if you work in a session for something intense, you can take on those person's abilities or habits even. Like a person could walk away. So I did a case last October. I was at a haunted bed and breakfast. Now, I don't eat cookies or sweets or pies or cakes. I don't eat that stuff. I just don't really care for it. But yeah, I had an attachment, and I was found in the kitchen eating a plate of cookies, which I never eat cookies. And they caught me doing that twice, 2 nights in a row. And I had no recollection of having done that. So something had gotten into me, but I had to get rid of that. I mean, not that eating cookies is going to harm me, but just the fact that it's proof that something can get into you. And another remote viewing level that I teach is called remote influencing. And this is where things can get rather intense, because in remote influencing, you take control of somebody's behavior patterns. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what is remote influencing? Well, remote influencing is the ability to take control of someone's behavior patterns, such as I can make somebody, let's say, take an object or an item and throw it across the room, or I can make somebody inflict pain on somebody else. Now, I would not do that, and I teach the class never to do that, because if I catch somebody doing that, I will put a stop to them. I will literally stop somebody from doing harm, because I can control them right back. But in the influencing courses that I teach, you can do things for better. Like let's say you got a child that's having nightmares every night. You could use remote influencing to put words on paper to give him better dreams, because what you're doing is you're going to implant in his mind a peaceful, more happier environment. Or maybe your dog is constantly barking, and you got a big meeting coming up. You could do a remote influencing session with words to implant visions and calmness over the animal to stop the barking. Because let's face it, if your dog's barking, if you just say shut up, shut up, shut up, it's not going to work. But if you were to put in certain words during a remote influencing session, you could stop the dog from barking using the proper tools and techniques. And what's really interesting is these tools combined can save lives. Like, let's say you're in a public bank, and somebody comes in and has a gun, and they're threatening to shoot everybody. If you are trained in remote influencing, you could make that gun that gentleman has in his hand, you can make that gun hot. You can make that gun get so hot and intense that he has to drop it. I mean, literally drop the gun, because he's holding it, and you are going in your mind. You're doing a quick influencing session, like I'm trained for, and you can make that gun appear very hot. And every second, that gun gets hotter and hotter to the point where he has to drop that gun, literally put it down. And of course, this requires a more advanced training, but you could save a lot of lives that way. You could use remote influencing or even remote viewing to somebody who may be in danger in another state. And you could use these tools to save that person's life, because it's like this. Everybody has the tools right now to go out anywhere, just from where they're sitting, and help other people. If you know somebody that needs help and you're trained in these 3 levels of courses, you could help that person. And the more you do this, the more impact you make. And the best part is, let's say you got 2 or 3 people with you that are trained in this. If you take 3 people to work a case or work an assignment, or maybe for cancer or leukemia, 3 people increases the healing field of energy. Because let's say I'm going to cure my next door neighbor that's got stage 4 cancer. Okay, I could heal his cancer in maybe 4 or 5 sessions. Now, let's say I got 3 people from here in Minnesota helping me out with this. Okay, 3 people doubles the energy field, doubles the healing energy. So therefore, we could cure the cancer in maybe 2 days. Let's say we got 5 people or 10 people on the case. Okay, we could probably do it in 24 hours. And I mean that literally. In fact, I'm currently doing healing for somebody in MUFON right now, and she, I won't say who, but is making tremendous improvement just on my healing alone. But I've got a few other members in MUFON that are also praying and helping out, and we are making an impact. And everybody here who takes one of my courses in MUFON, or even the general public who takes my psychic courses, they learn the ability and they will possess the ability. And think of all the lives you can save, all the help you can be to this world if you take these tools and use it for better. Because I mean, you could go to spend thousands of dollars in a hospital waiting for surgery, waiting for the right moment to get the transplant you need or get the help you need. But with these tools, you could heal the person and do it a lot quicker. And the fact that you have all the love, the positivity, and the energy that goes into it, it makes a difference. Getting back to the time travel that I'm going to be discussing, the time travel tool is very, very unique because when you time travel, and this is part of what you learn in remote viewing, although I will be teaching this as a separate course later on. But time traveling, you can take yourself to a target. Let's say you want to go and experience Elvis Presley in concert. Now, I've literally done this, and I took photos of it with my cell phone. You could time travel back to that event and see the concert. You could see the Rolling Stones, or even better, this you could witness the assassination of JFK or the Declaration of Independence. Because what I teach and the way this works is you get in such a relaxed state, and you go through a little bit of a session that I teach, and then you relax and you focus on that place you want to go, and you literally go there. In fact, when I went to see Elvis in a concert, I used a cell phone because you take what you have with you. I mean, you're actually going there, and I was able to snap a photo of the concert, and you can see the Elvis on stage in one of his poses. But you can use this tool to time travel and go see your past family members. And I teach all of this. You can even use remote viewing and influencing to change the weather. And I have proof of that because I got a video that I'll show in the share screen, and you can see where it was 0% chance of rain. And I wanted to demonstrate for my class, my students, I wanted to demonstrate how I can make it just right on spot, make it thunder, lightning, and rain. And I was able to do a session on camera, and within just not even 1 minute, here come the rain, thunder, and lightning. And then I filmed this for the class. It's all on video. And then I told the class this is a demonstration to prove that this does work. And then after I proved it to them, I then shut it back off, went back into the session, and stopped the rain, thunder, and lightning. And in fact, the thunder was so loud that it literally shook the house, which is one thing you got to be careful. And I do stress this. When you do remote viewing or even influencing, make sure you choose your words carefully because you don't want to make too big of an impact and cause harm. You want to make sure you use the right amount of impact, which is why I teach all of this carefully, step by step, because I want my students and everybody to learn that you have to be careful what you say and do, because you could overdo something and cause harm, or you could underdo something and not cause enough help or not give enough help. Does anybody have any questions they would like to ask?
Okay, yeah, if you got questions, please put your question in the chat. I know we got a question in the room here. Where's our question in the room?
If you share some of the time travel experiences.
Can you share some of your time travel experiences?
Yes. One of the first ones I went to was a Elvis Presley concert from Las Vegas. I went to the specific date and time, which was 1971, because he was slim and trim, had a 32-inch waist, and he was really doing excellent. So I went to the concert and I took a photo of it. And then when I got done, I came back. What I went to was a outdoor concert in Europe. It was a big they had Phil Collins, Eric Clapton, Elton John, a bunch of bands were there. I went to this concert twice. Now this is the strangest thing. Get this: when I went to the concert the first time, it was beautiful outside. When I went to the concert the second time, like 2 weeks later, it was raining and I got wet, so I did not have an umbrella with me. So I came back. But I mean, and if you go online and watch the video of this concert, because you can find it on video on YouTube and stuff, you can see where it was raining. But when I first went there, it did not rain. And so you can use this tool to do all of this. But what you do is you get your mind in such a relaxed state such a relaxed state, and then you have the target in front of you, and you focus on that, and you let your body just transport there. It does help to be a little psychic, but when I teach this, it does make an impact. One of my students that I taught, and this is no joke, I gave a homework assignment for and the homework assignment was to remote view a soundtrack album. But and everybody in class was drawing the record and the record jacket, case, whatever. One student did not draw anything about a record case or the shape, size of the record, but she remote viewed the movie from where she was sitting. She did 8 pages all about the film, and she had never even seen the film. But she did a whole description of the film, the people, the clothing, everything. Everybody else, they did the record and the record cover, but she did the whole film. So she really transported back there in just a matter of seconds. And if you watch the video, you can see her sitting in class, kind of getting in that state. Another place I did a time travel was for, I went back to the 50s, and I was able to look at some of my past family members, relatives. And I went to their location. I was able to look in the window and see them. And you can get so involved in time travel that people have asked me, can you interact? Yes, you can interact. Can you change things? Yes, if you do time travel just right, you can change the environment. I mean, you can go to, like, let's say, go to 1885. You could go there and you could change things. But you got to be careful, because any changes you make in time travel will reflect how things look when you come back to the present. Because when you first time travel, for beginners, you may not physically be there, you might just see. But the more you get involved in this, the more you can physically, and I mean physically, be there. And so with my practice in class, like, everybody learns that abilities. One of my students went to Mexico. He had an assignment. The assignment that I gave him was, and now when I give out assignments, the only thing the class gets is a number. Like, let's say I got this glass bottle here. I wouldn't show the glass bottle. I would associate a number with it. And the number would be, let's say, 762. And the class's project is to describe 762. Well, the glass bottle I had was an imported Mexican beverage. And this person in class, he did a whole 8 pages on tacos, sombreros, everything. And he even did the bottles too, but he had all kinds of food. And he said he never felt so hungry in his life. He was literally getting hungry. He could smell the food while he was doing this assignment. And so using these two, so doing this, learning all of this is unique, because just imagine what it's like if you take my courses and then you go and demonstrate to all your friends and family how you can do such unique tools. Because let's face it, you could do viewing to find out where something is, and then do healing to make that person or whoever it is feel better, and then influence, another tool, influence, to change things. Like, let's say you wanted to do time travel and go back and see, let's say, JFK's assassination. And then while you're there, you could do an influencing session to try and stop the murder. Could you actually stop the assassination? I don't know. I've never attempted that. There is one thing I do stress, though. Some things you cannot change because it's going to happen whether you like it or not, because it's supposed to happen. But I have literally went back to, like, the past and actually, like, took notes, like go back to like 1982 or something, and write myself a note on paper and hide that note in a certain place, then go back to where I'm at now and see if that note is still there. Yes, it is still there with my handwriting. And at that age of my life, I did not have handwriting like I do now. So you can actually make changes in things. So let's say you lost something. Maybe as a kid, you lost your favorite toy. You could go back and take that toy, put it in a safe place, so you can come back to the future, 2023, and retrieve that toy. Yes, it does work. In fact, one of our students in class lost his harmonica. His name's Steve. He's a MUFON member. He lost his harmonica as a kid. And we were able to to pinpoint where the harmonica is at and what happened to it, why it was put in this particular spot. That was a fun tool. Any other questions? And then I'll discuss some of the ET encounters.
Yeah, I've got a three-part question, and then there's someone in the chat has a question too. So
Great.
my three-part question is, did you go back to see JFK's assassination? Part two is, how many shooters were there? And part three, was Oswald one of them?
No, I did not go back to the JFK assassination. I want to do that, but I want to take a day off and just spend time doing that, and then make a big description of it. But I will do that, and then I can always send you or anybody who wants to see the paperwork, and I'll give a complete description, maybe even do a video on it too if I can.
Yeah, I'd like to get an update on that. Hang on, we got one question in the chat. Let me check it real quick. So can a person get a sense of the future or predictions?
Say that again, please.
Can a person get a sense of the future or predictions?
Yes. When you take my 8-week course, not only do I teach you the remote viewing abilities, but what I do is I awaken your psychic side. So by the time you get certified at all 3 levels, you will be able to decipher what's coming up next, or what's going to happen in the future or the past. Because once you open up that side, I train you how to learn the difference between this person and that person, because every person in this room or anywhere, each person has their own energy level and their own feelings. Like if you were to go home and close your eyes, you would know if that's your wife walking across the room. You would know if that's your son or daughter or animal or pet, because you recognize their feelings. You have that all down memorized. And in class, I teach you how to recognize that on a more psychic level, to where you can be anywhere. And if a spirit or ETs or anything walks beside you that you can't see, you know they're there. And learning and also teach this how to decipher words, and how to decipher what information is coming to you and who it is, because I teach how to pinpoint patterns, like patterns that ETs, when they speak, I know their pattern. It's different from everybody else's pattern. Also, I also teach how to decipher if what your information you're getting is positive or negative, because I teach how to decode that. Like positive energy has a certain feel and certain level to it. Negative energy has a certain feel and level to it. Like negative warnings, negative thoughts will have a kind of a lower, kind of a sickening feeling. And then what I do, and I teach this, is ask yourself, why do I feel that way? Because he is not supposed to go there. It'll just come to you, or this is not supposed to work like you just know. And I teach that, and I have my students practice that night and day if they can. I tell my students, when you go into a shopping mall or department store, ask yourself, what does it feel like in there? Just when you walk in the door, what do you feel? Do you feel positive or negative? And practice that. In time, over time, you get so trained on that you can just start instantly. Like if I were to walk into the room where you guys are at, without anybody saying anything, I could literally pinpoint who's got what situation is going on, because I'm trained to recognize their feelings, and I teach that in class.
Oh, cool. That person says thank you, and I got another question here in the room. Or 2 questions in the room. We'll go here first.
Tom, I lost my uncle in World War II, and it was before I was born. Is there any way I could go back in remote viewing and medium?
Did you catch that or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, if you take my courses, and you could even send me an email, and I could work with you one-on-one with this. But I would have you get into a relaxed state, and I could even help you with this. And then what I do is I take his name, and I don't need a picture, just his name, maybe his age, and I just relax. And just on what little information you just gave me, I could sit back, and you could do this too. And then I would put myself into that area, because I'm able to see him in his uniform and see him walking about doing his routines. And then whatever question you would have for me, like what do you want to know, like how to contact him, I could get there in that relaxed state, and I could give him a message for you, or I could have you in that relaxed state, and you could give him the message. Now you may not see him as clearly as I do, but he would hear the message. and then I can, you're welcome.
And a question over here.
How far into the future have you gone?
Did you hear that or no?
Yes,
Okay.
I've gone as far as, let's say, within the next 10 years. And in the next 10 years, we as the environment and the public is going to be basically in the same boat we're in now. There's not going to be any more, like we had COVID-19, there's not going to be any more of that, but there is going to be a little bit more of a calmer, Earth will be a little bit calmer. Although I did look, and gas prices are going to be a little bit higher. Basically all prices in general are going to be higher, but we as the people are going to be in a little bit more calmer state because we're going to start calming down. I did look into the future for that disclosure for ETs and all that. We are going to get more information next year and in 2025, but we're still not going to have all the answers. The answers they're going to give us are going to be just kind of like a here you go, but it's still sort of the beat around the bush routine.
Yeah, and someone asked a question too. Did you say something about sharing a video? Because they really want to see the video. Were you going to share a video with us?
Yes. Let me get that real quick, and I'm going to show you how I was able to control the weather.
Cool.
I'll have that up in just a second, and you will see the forecast, and then you'll see the video. Let me see here. While waiting for that to load up, let me show you a few remote viewing assignments that I've done. You're going to see some of my work. Okay, you'll see here. I'm going to bring this up a little bit larger. You'll see the gentleman in the canoe with his arm up. That was the target that I was supposed to work. That's what they wanted me to get information about. Now I was blind to this. I have no knowledge or anything of what it is I'm working with, other than I just have a number. That number represents that guy in the canoe. My job is to do an 8-page description about that canoe and draw a photo. Now, I'm not very good at drawing, but here was my sketch. You can see the my arm bent the same position his arm is. You can see that he's got the canoe in his hand, and I got a canoe in my hand. It looks kind of weird, but the target matches almost to a T. Another one here is this is the Sphinx, I think they call it, and that was what I was supposed to draw. And then of course I did my description. Brown brick place. It was sunny out, long, and then that's my drawing of the Sphinx. So yeah, you can see how well this tool does work, and every student, every person who's watching this possesses these abilities, and I teach everybody how to be just as accurate. We got one more here. This is the San Diego Bridge. You can see the bridge on the right-hand side, and then my drawing on the left-hand side. I even put San Diego Bridge. I'm not showing you all 8 pages of these assignments. I'm just showing you the final page where I state what this is. Let me see if the video is ready now for us. While we're waiting for the video to come, it's going to come in just a second, and then you can watch the video. While we're doing that, everybody who comes and takes my remote viewing classes, they start off with the basic remote viewing, which teaches how to look into the future, the past, and find things in the present. Like, let's say you step outside and from the mall, and you can't find your car keys. You can, with these tools, you can stand right there and do a remote viewing session in your mind real quick, and you could go get those car keys. I helped a woman out recently and at a store I was at, and she lost her car keys, and I told her, I said, they're in your, I did a session in my head. I said, they're on the floor in your driver's seat. And she went and she looked down in the driver's seat. Sure enough, the keys were down there. Her car was locked because she locked the car with her door handle, but the keys were in there, and we could see them down there. And because of that, she was able to get into her car, able to get the keys. And this is the weather forecast for my area. I live in Green Valley, Illinois, and this is the biggest that'll go, I guess. But you can see, for those who can see this, there was no rain in the forecast at all. Not for the entire day. It was completely dry. And what I wanted to do was, my plan was to make it rain, thunder, and lightning. And this was at 10 o'clock at night. I wanted to make it rain, thunder, and lightning, and I wanted to make a recording of it to show the class how remote influencing works in controlling the weather. I'm going to play the video here. All right, let me see here. The video is not sending to my computer because the size of it's too big and I can't make it any smaller. So what we're going to do is I'm going to describe this. I wish I could show it, but what happened is I went outside with the camera and the equipment and I did a remote healing session. And during the viewing and healing session, I wanted to make it rain. And I put all my words and thoughts of healing and everything into the video, into the session. And during the session, it started thunder, lightning, and it rained. And I am going to show it to you. I know exactly what I'll do. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. I was going to try to hold the phone up and show the video because I can't send it because of the size. But it is proof that this does work. And what I'll do is I can send Tom the video through a WeTransfer, then he can show it to the next class or next time you guys have a meeting. So he can show it to you guys if he wants to. And it's a very unique video because I demonstrated the fact that thunder, lightning, and rain. Now, the one mistake I did make when I did the recording was I didn't specify how big of a storm I wanted it to be. Now, the problem was because I didn't specify, the storm got a little intense, and I'm kid you not, we have a brick house I live in. The thunder was so loud that it shook the house because I wasn't careful in my descriptions. I wanted to demonstrate it for the class and I was excited, so I didn't specify the size of the storm and it shook the house. And we have an apple orchard on our property. One of the trees went down due to the storm. So I don't know if there was a bit of a tornado or something that I couldn't see, but the tree went down. We had to clean it up. But so when you're doing a remote viewing session, you need to make sure that you choose your words carefully. Don't overstate what you want because you can make too big of an impact, and don't understate because you can make not enough of an impact. Let's say you're healing somebody, and you don't use strong enough words or have strong enough feeling going out to it. You might not make a big enough impact to heal that person. However, same thing with viewing. If you want to make it, or influencing, if you want to make it storm, maybe you have dry crops and you need rain. If you don't choose your words carefully, you can make too much rain and have downpours and flood. But if you use just the proper words, you can make just enough rain to water the crops. And same thing with the viewing. If you want to find lost items, articles, or different things in a remote psychic viewing session, choose your words carefully, and you can make, basically what you're doing is you're making an impact to help other people or to help the environment. And that's what I teach in healing, viewing, and influencing. All 3 courses use these things for the better. Is there any questions before we go any further? I do have the Elvis press. Go ahead.
Any questions here in the room? Yeah, got a question in the back?
Can you use this to, can you prevent somebody's lawful use of this or unethical use of this?
Did you hear that or no?
You want to repeat that for me?
Can you prevent someone's unethical or unlawful use of these abilities?
Oh yes, oh yes. Let's say you're inside of a department store, and like I said earlier, somebody comes in with a gun and they want to do harm to somebody. You could use these tools instantly to stop them from doing harm. Like if you use influencing, which is the 3rd level of course I teach, you could use this tool to literally take the gun out of their hand, make them throw that gun on the floor, or with these tools, you can make that gun so hot to the touch that they have to drop that weapon, which gives you enough time to go and apprehend that person. If somebody's having a heart attack or maybe a stroke, you could instantly do healing if you know that if you're trained in this to heal that heart, to heal that area. It does work. In fact, there's been so many times that I've been in situations where somebody was choking, or maybe they were getting ready to pass out or have an accident. And I'm able to instantly use these tools and get myself over there to help save their lives. Now I'm going to do a share screen and show you the photo I took at the Elvis Presley concert for those who'd like to see that. And this is proof that time travel does work for those who may be just a slight bit skeptical. Let me do okay, here's the photo coming up here. This is taken from the crowd. I don't think I can, I have a new, oh, here we go, full screen. Okay. That's the biggest this photo will get. I can't, it won't let me zoom in. But for those who can see this, this is in the crowd, and there's Elvis in the center. I took this photo. I waited for him to walk into the center of the stage, and I got several photos. This is the best photo out of all that I took. You can, but this is proof that time travel does work. And all you have to do to time travel is is set an intention, put in your mind where you want to go and what time frame we're at. Then with my teaching, you would get you relax and stop thinking, don't think, and just kind of in your mind, just kind of envision yourself there and get relaxed. And then over with enough practice, you will actually be there. At first, you may go there like wherever you're time traveling to, and you may just see things. But over time, with practice, you begin to walk. You can start learning to walk around and interact, speak, communicate, interact. And some people have said, okay, so if I do this, can I interact with my past self or future self? You could, yes, because you were there and you could interact with your past self or future self. I've seen myself as a child before. I didn't interact with them because you got to remember, if you interact with things from the past, then what you're doing is you're changing the past, and you don't want to accidentally change something that was good. Like you don't want to accidentally prevent yourself from achieving a goal or prevent something from happening. But now going into the future and time traveling, you go to the future, and then you could see how things are going to turn out. And that's the best part about going to the future is you can see how things are going to turn out for like yourself or your family members. Then you can come back to the present time with that knowledge, write that down, make a note of that. And when that day comes, you could prevent those incidents from happening. Like you could prevent yourself from getting into an accident, prevent somebody from having a stroke because somebody was there at the right time. Excuse me, prevent things from happening that you would like to change. And it's all in proper there again proper learning through these learning these tools. So for those who take my 8-week psychic course, we just started our second week last week for the public course. Currently I'm teaching in MUFON, but I just started the public course a few weeks ago, and it's $100 course. But for those who are in MUFON, it's free. There's no charge for anybody in MUFON. The next round of teaching will be January 1st for 8 weeks of viewing. So I teach viewing, healing, and influencing, and I teach about 3 days, three nights a week. The viewing is an 8-week course. It's $100 for the public, but 8-week course. And in that 8-week course, you learn how to go to the past, the future, and get information, how to find lost car keys, how to find anything that's lost, stolen, or just anything you want. And I teach you how to work with law enforcement. I teach you how to work with law enforcement to help find missing children, murder victims, stolen vehicles, things like that. I teach the time travel, how to time travel, because when you time travel, you can go and walk around and get details, and then come back and write those details down on paper and and have all the information you need. Because when you work with law enforcement, they want the details. They want all the details because that helps them better locate what they're looking for. Now, I've had people ask me, what is the difference between a typical psychic like you see on TV and a remote viewer? The difference is we as remote viewers can give details, absolutely specific details like license plate numbers, house numbers, locations, details of what's on the ground next to that target. Where's this place at? We can get exact details and locations. A psychic cannot always give you the details, not great details like we do. Plus, if you use these tools together, like take all these tools together, you could go and do remote viewing to the past and see something, and then you could do healing in the past. Let's say you go to the past and somebody is sick or having an illness, you could heal them in the past. If you do this right, you could heal them, and then when you come back to the future, you could find out they lived a longer life, perhaps. I've never healed anybody from the past. There again, there are certain things I would like to do. It's just a matter of taking the time and spending a day doing this. But you got to be careful, because if you get too involved in time travel, if you get too involved, you might forget to come back. And I've done this before. Go somewhere and get so involved looking around that I come back and you got like a half hour to get ready for your day job at work. Oops. So you got to be careful. Make sure you time everything just right. Because when you get relaxed and then you start to come back, you don't realize what time it is. So what I'd like to do, is there any questions before I begin? I'm gonna discuss a little bit about my ET contacts. Any questions?
Yeah, we got another question in the chat. They want to know if remote viewing or the relaxed state ever happens in a dream state.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because sometimes when you have such a wild mind going on, because maybe you're all excited about the fact that you're going to time travel, or you might be all excited about a case you're working on, or that you're going to be working on a case. You get so excited about that when you go to sleep, you can dream a dream about being there, or being in that location, and because I'm so trained in time travel, in my dreams I actually can go to these locations. Like I've had dreams at night. In fact, just the other night I was in a relaxed state, sitting in a chair in a relaxed state. It was about 10:30 at night. I was relaxed, and I had a ET encounter, a praying mantis. I thought it looked like a grasshopper, but I was told that it was probably a praying mantis. And I was in this big white, like circular area, pure white. I mean, it was just like it was like a bright light all around the walls. There was no pictures, no tools. It was just like a clear white wall. And he was standing in front of me, and we embraced as if we knew each other and hugged. And I don't know, and I was gone for, I guess, from 10:30 to about 4:30 in the morning when I came back. And when I got back, I realized it was, like, say, 4:30. So I'd been gone that length of time. I don't remember the trip there. I don't remember the trip back. All I know is I was in the same chair. So I don't think that I don't think it was an abduction so much as that I time traveled to where they were at. Because I was in the exact same position. No disarrangements of clothes, nothing like that. But it just goes to show that that if you get relaxed enough, you can actually time travel, and you don't even mean to do it, because when you're trained like us, you can just get so relaxed that you can just go places without even knowing not even planning it. It just happens. But you just got to remember to come. Go ahead.
That person says thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions in the room? Well, I think we want to hear about UFOs and ETs then. Let us have it, Chris. What's going on?
All right, so I've had encounters since I was a kid. Of course, now as a kid, I was a little bit too scared to look at these encounters, because see, my plan was I was going to be like a rock and roll star or something like that as a kid, or a professional photographer. And that, of course, that never did happen. But what did happen was I had encounters as a kid, but I was too afraid to turn around and look at them. But I knew they were there, and there were several nights that they were rather intense. But they didn't harm me. It was just all like kind of like watching over me and like trying to get message across. As I got older, I began to realize what that message was. Because as I got older, I realized the ability to help others, like be in the right place at the right time. Like, she's choking, save her. Falling over, save her. Just different things. I would be right there at the right time. Now think about that, being in the right place at the right time. If it happens a few times, it's what we call coincidental. But if it happens on a daily basis, that's not coincidence. That's something else. And I was always at the right place at the right time. And I would get upset because, yeah, helping people is a great tool, but I wanted to be something more successful in life, not just help others. And what happened was that having these ET contacts and different things happening at night, which I was too afraid to look at what was there, but I knew it was there. I began to get downloads stating that, you can help other people. You possess the ability. You are doing us a favor by helping others. continue on this path. And one day, I was helping somebody out, and they made a comment that you're just the greatest guy. You're always so readily available. And when they left, I looked up into the sky and I said to my ET friends, anybody that could hear me, I said, if you let me have a career, I will keep on helping other people. You got my word. As soon as I said that, everything clicked. I got a phone call from the Travel Channel to do a paranormal show. Within just a matter of a few months, I started taking photography lessons and started a business. And then later on, within a couple of years, I was in MUFON investigating cases and doing ERT work. And what I realized was, because once I started doing all of this, they told me, ETs told me, that this was what we wanted, that you are on the right path, and we will be here to guide you. And to this day, I still have encounters, but when I have the encounters, it's more like they're saying thank you. Because like the other night when I was in the room with the praying mantis, he like gave me a hug, and I could feel his love and intentions. Now, me as a human being, I'm not going to walk up to a praying mantis and hug him. But when I was there at that moment, I knew who this person was. Even though if I were to look at him today, would I recognize him? Yeah, because we embraced, so I know who he is now. But they're projecting love, and basically it's letting me know that you're on the right path. So anybody have anything they want to add?
Cool. I got a question for you. I was sharing with the group earlier today that I was talking to a woman earlier this week who's done some like remote viewing and channeling and things that seem to be extraterrestrial. And she shared a really interesting comment with me that I hadn't heard before. She said she was communicating with an ET, and she said something like the phrase of "you ETs and aliens." And she said the being got really upset and said they really don't like being referred to as aliens. And I'd never heard that before. Have you ever heard that extraterrestrials don't like being referred to as aliens? And can you say more about that if you have?
Yes, they don't like to be called aliens because that is the name that we gave them. They consider themselves to be like us, family and friends. In fact, they have told me before that outside of each other, we are the only friends and family they have. And normally what they say to me is they will use the terms, we are one cohesive unit, which what they're saying when they say that is that we are all one nation under God. We are all made by the same beings. And of course, you get people that say that, there's no such thing as ETs. Well, I mean, if you look at what we have, fish, dogs, cats, birds, and things like that, there's life out there too. And I know that because I communicate with them. And the reason that some people don't have encounters as often as others is because some people are more acceptable of it. And those that are more acceptable of it will have more encounters. That does not mean they're not still coming around, because ETs do come around and check on all of us. It's just some of us are more acceptive, so they let their presence be known more. In fact, a good example of that was last April. I had a severe cold, and I was just out of it. And normally if I have a question for the ETs or spirit guides, I will ask them to give me a sign, and then they will give me a pat on the back or something that lets me know they're there. I was ill that night, and I asked for them to show me they're there. They did not come. I did not get nothing. What happened was I was so out of it and ill that I did not feel their presence. And so they knew that. So a few days later, one of them came into the store where I work, and they were dressed as a human, all in black. And I knew as soon as I locked eyes on this, that this being was going to say something. But she looked just like a female human with black hair, dressed pure in black. And she walked right up to me, and this is exactly what she said. She said, "Good job, you're on the right path." And then as she's walking away, she said, "You will get rewarded for this." And I knew as soon as she said rewarded for this, I knew who she was, that she was a spirit. She was one of the beings and possibly a spirit guide, because even ETs can be spirit guides to all of us, because they are helping us. And in return, they want us to help other people. That is what they would like for all of us to do, is to help other people and make this world a better place. So if all of us could start helping other people, that the ETs would love it, because we all have the ability. It's just a matter of us getting in that frame of mind to want to do it.
Yeah, I got another question in the chat. And when you speak of helping people, the question is, would you be able to help locate Israel's hostages?
If I did a remote viewing session for a few days, I could probably pinpoint where they're at, yes. And I could have an 8-page description, where they're at, where they're located, and yes, definitely. Now, would I be able to time travel there? Yeah, I could do that too, but I don't know if it'd be safe to time travel there because wouldn't want to go alone. That's another thing too. Is if you time travel to places that are in danger, you wouldn't want to go alone. Even if you took somebody with you, would you still be safe? That's a matter of it's a matter of taking life into your own hands, really.
Yeah, when you say that, it makes me, I wonder, when you talk about time travel, are you just psychically going there, or are you physically in that different location in time?
Physically, 'cause, I mean, you can walk around, interact, and touch and move things around. Like you can write a note to yourself. Like go back to like your childhood days, write yourself a note and put it somewhere, and then go back into the future, like the present time, and retrieve that note.
But does your body that's here presently, is it actually gone? Would someone see that you're no longer here in the present, or would your body still be here and you're physically somewhere else as well?
That's a good question. I've often wanted to set up a camera and see if I'm actually there. But in fact, if I do that, I would love to come back and show the video. It's a matter of getting the equipment set up and then doing that. Although some people who have attempted to set up equipment, when they come back, they find their equipment was either shut off or the battery ran down rather quickly. But I would love to demonstrate that and find out because I physically can't tell if I'm actually there or not. What I'll do is I have to start training myself that when I do this to somehow like turn around and look somehow if I can. But a lot of the lot but you are physically there because you can touch, you can interact, you can speak to people. In fact, I know a gentleman, and this is no joke, who time traveled, and he went back and he spoke to George Washington. I mean, literally had a communication with him. And I wish I had. He didn't have any pictures or video of it, but he did actually speak to George Washington. So that's just more proof that this does work. The thing to remember is when you time travel, you got to remember that once you go there, don't stay too long because you could be gone too long and come back and be late for an appointment or something like that.
Part question in the chat and then a comment in the chat too. So the two-part question. Can you time travel in a way that you are safe from anyone, anything? And then part two is, as in not physically be there, do you have a choice in that?
Yes, if you time travel and you want to be safe, then what you have to do is when you get there is you'll have to slowly get to that point where you're not physically there because like I can time travel and just look and not actually physically be there. But then if I want to put myself out there further, I can put a stronger intention and then start walking around because what you do is you more or less put yourself out there further. It's like an intense feeling, and then you start walking around, and you are physically there. But then, if you don't want to be physically there, you can just kind of ease back a little ways, and kind of be in that half state where you're able to look and observe, but not actually walk around.
Cool. And then the other comment is goosebumps. Yes, life is about helping one another, especially the people who need it most. I've heard this before about benevolence.
Yes, and say benevolence. Yes, you can be careful when you time travel or even when you remote view, because there's always that possibility that if you're remote viewing something that is deceased, or maybe you're trying to figure out who's in a house. Okay, so I do paranormal shows on television with Something Wicked, and during those shows, during the night, I will always do a remote viewing session to heal what's in the house or to find out who's in the house, because a lot of times as investigators, we use our EVP recorders and photography. We don't get the information as to who is there, what is exactly there. But I can do a remote viewing session while I'm there, and I do this for every case, and I pinpoint exactly who is there, what their age is, what they look like. In fact, I did a case just recently. There's a woman, and this video has already been out, so I can discuss this. She has a gentleman that stands in her bedroom like this every night and just stares at her. Doesn't move, just stares at her. He's a tall gentleman. So I did a session to find out who this person is. He was a Native American Indian from the tribe Watchers. That was his tribe called Watchers. And his job was to watch the land, basically all day, all night, just sit there and watch the land, watch for intruders and stuff. And her bedroom and where her bed faces was in the exact area where that gentleman stands. So that's why she was seeing him every night. Now, was he physically there? I think it was just his energy was there. His energy was so strong that it was still there. Because let's face it, if your energy in life is so strong in a certain spot that you work in or live in, that you're like a video that just plays and people can see that energy. And that's what she was saying was the energy of this gentleman.
Like a psychic thumbprint in a sense.
Right. Another case I did recently was for a family who had a loved one that was still walking around the house. He didn't realize he was passed away, and I did a remote viewing session to speak to him. And he told me in the session, he says he was mad because he didn't know he was gone. He says my family doesn't love me anymore. They don't speak to me. They don't talk to me. It's like I'm not there. I said, no, you passed away. You need to move on. And he said, no, it's not fair. I need to speak to him. I said, well, you can't. I can give you I can relay a message for you. I said, but they can't hear or see you. He said, yeah, they can. I can see them. I said, no. I said, sorry, but you have to move on. You're deceased. And I finally got through to him. It was about a half-hour session. I was able to get through to him, make him realize that he was gone, and he was mad because well, if you can see me, they can see me. I said, no. I said, I can see you because I'm on your level. But it just goes to show how intense things can get, almost emotional in some cases.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions here in the room? Nope, I don't see any in the room. Looking for chat. Nothing to do on chat either. No. So do you use this skill a lot in your, because you're a field investigator. How often do you use this skill in your field investigations? And what does that look like? How does that help you reach your conclusions when you're investigating a case for MUFON?
Well, it helps quite a bit because I can work a case and then of course I do all the standard work, what was it, birds, planes, drones, mylar balloons, Goodyear blimps, what was it, water spots, winds, just different various stuff. I rule all that out first. And then if I can't figure out the answer there, then I'll sit back in my mind and do a viewing session and see what the person saw. I could just sit back and be in his area. Okay, 8:30 at night, August 17th. What did he see? And I just sit back and go kind of like a time travel. And I look, okay, yeah, that was coming from the northwest, a little bit different than what he said, but okay, northwest, and I think I know what that is. Then I go back and do my research. Okay, I'm correct. It is. It was simply a jet coming from that direction, heading east or whatever. And or if it was a UFO, then I could sit back and time travel there and communicate with him and say, okay, now you are, okay, yeah, you are. It's a UFO. It's a saucer shape. And I could get details and I could add all that to the report. Of course, in the report, we don't specify remote viewing and I saw a UFO, but we do have an understanding. So we if we rule out the basic stuff, then I can time travel and narrow it down to be sure, okay, that was a UFO or that was not.
Can I follow up to that question?
Yep, we got a follow-up question here in the room.
So what stopped you from perhaps going back to that location and reporting it?
Did you hear that or no?
Yeah, what was stopping me from going back to that location and reporting it? Really nothing other than the fact that I've learned from doing a lot of time travel and work that's not always good to go back and make too much changes, because even the smallest change we make could have a bigger impact on the future. Because everybody does things in life daily that leads them to where they need to be in the future. Like maybe maybe somebody here drops their cup on the floor, let's say. Okay, now maybe when they drop that cup on the floor, a few seconds later, the person next to him has a heart attack and they save that person's life. But they wouldn't have been there at that moment if they had dropped their cup on the floor. So I'm always careful if I time travel, what decisions I'm going to, what impacts I'm going to make. You don't want to change too much and ruin somebody's life, because you may not realize that what you're changing or what you're taking with you. If I go back to the past and take something with me to bring back to the future, because I want to keep it for myself, Okay, if I took that, then somebody else who was supposed to take that and move on in life with that item or whatever, they can't do that because I changed it. And if you change too much of the future or the past, you can make a bad impact. So you got to be careful.
Got another question here?
How do we know what future we're living right now is real as opposed to what it could have been if people have been going back and making changes?
Did you catch that?
No.
Can you repeat that? Cause that is kind of a tough one. Or actually, yeah, I can get you kind of closer.
If you have the ability to go back and you have to be careful about making changes, then how do we know that the future that we're experiencing right now is the one we're supposed to, that hasn't been changed?
Did you catch that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I understand perfectly. Because what happens is, okay, we don't know what the future is going to hold unless I go back and unless I move ahead and look at it. But I will say that if things in the past were changed by remote viewing by other remote viewers, or even if somebody here knew how to remote view like myself, if I went back and did something that not realizing that I made a change. One thing to remember, and I guess the best way to put it is like this: they say everything happens for a reason. So if I went back and made it and changed something, maybe the fact that I went back there was supposed to happen. But then, how do I know that? You don't really know what kind of impact you're going to make when you move ahead or move back. You don't really know what kind of impact you're going to make until you do. But it's a matter of making a proper decision. When you time travel, like if I go back to 1957, want to get Buddy Holly's autograph before he dies in a plane crash. I could go back there and of course get his autograph, but then again, could I stop him from having that plane crash? I could warn him, hey buddy, listen, don't fly on this plane, you're gonna have a plane crash. Well, he may not believe me. He may say, oh, don't worry about this. You don't know what you're talking about. So he may not listen to me and make those changes. But maybe I could do something like, let's say I could take parts off the plane to prevent that plane from flying so that he doesn't get in that plane and make that plane crash. Could I do that? I probably could. But now if that plane crash doesn't happen, that may change how we are living here in the future because of our mindset and how things perceive. So it's just a matter of when you time travel, ask yourself, get a feeling. Should I make this kind of change? Is it going to affect anything? Because I mean, if we go to the past and bring back bottles of Pepsi Cola, or bring back some record albums, or bring back our favorite toy, that's probably not going to hurt nothing. But if we make changes to other people and some of the things they are doing or going to be doing, we may make an impact that we didn't want to make, because once we come back here, the damage has been done. And you don't know what kind of damage you're going to do, whether it be good or bad, until you come back and look.
Okay, I understand that, but how do we know if the past has been changed?
Did you catch that? How do we know if the past has been changed?
Yeah, because you would have to set it. You would have to do something in the past, and then you would have to somehow make yourself a note or something, or really get a good look at what you're doing, and then make a note of it somehow, like hide the note somewhere, come back to the future, and then retrieve that note, or look into the future and see, because make a list of what you're changing and then come to the future and see.
Well, and I could be mistaken, but I think this is what he's getting at. How do I know that I'm not living in a present that is not what it's supposed to be? Because somebody else, say Chris Harmon, went back and changed something that's affected me and put me at where I am now, which is not where I'm supposed to be. Which, is that what you're kind of getting at?
Well, no, what I'm going at is because I've studied remote viewing going all the way back to our bill. So the paradox of changing and knowing it's been changed, there is a way to see it. So how does he know it's been changed?
Did you catch that?
Yes, I almost don't think there really isn't a surefire way to know. Because if we're not happy where we're at in this life now because we made some bad choices, I guess we could go back and make and fix things for ourselves to make better choices, and then come back here and be in that better position. But the only way to really know if we made changes or not is, number one, really put your intentions across, do things carefully, and make the right maneuvers and plans to be sure you have an impact. I guess is the best way I could describe it. Go with your feelings is what I always say. That's the most important rule. Go with your feelings.
What would you think about if we maybe had to create a rule or maybe a law or possibly some sort of, I don't know, prime directive about doing things like that? What would you say to that?
The rule I would say is that okay, so if you're certified on all three levels of remote viewing, I would make sure, and I stress this with all my students, to make sure that you only use these tools for better, positive outcomes. Don't use this for negative. Always use it for positive. Unless doing something negative is going to give a positive outcome. Because if you don't use these tools properly, you could harm, endanger, and make things worse than what they may already be. Like healing, you could heal somebody maybe the wrong way because you're not using the right terms, or influence things badly because you didn't take proper measures, or view things and then get too involved in the time travel aspect, get too involved and forget to come back in proper time.
I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat. What about here in the room? Yep, got a question coming here in the room?
Yeah, so I guess I got one. So if you were to travel either to the future or the past, and we'll say the future, you go and look at stocks and bonds, something skyrocketed. Now you come back to present, why not throw $10,000 at it? Or like for past, Bitcoin, throw $100 at it, you'd be a millionaire.
Did you catch all that?
Yes. And I know, and I understand what you're saying. Yes, you use this for financial gain. If you feel like you can really use the money, then yes, by all means, go back to the past. Get the baseball scores, get the football scores, whatever. Then come back to the future or whatever and place those bets, or go back to the past and get, like I say, stocks and bonds and all that, build them up and put them where they need to be, come back to the future and then benefit from it. I mean, if you feel you really need to, yes. But then there again, what if that money that you're taking with you was meant for somebody else in the past that really needed it? Now here you've gone and you changed the environment of that person that really needed those stocks and bonds. Because maybe you didn't know they needed it because you're not associated, you're not family, you're friends with them. You've went and you changed, made an impact for the wrong. Now, of course, how do we know that was meant for somebody else? We don't. But here we are taking from what could be meant for somebody else and bringing it to ourselves for our own financial gain. But now, if we really need the money, then I mean, if you really need the money, then sure. But then are you hurting somebody else to better yourself?
Mute. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. I have time traveled at one time, and I went back to 1959. And when I came back to the future, it wasn't here. I had to actually go back and talk to myself when I was making a decision. I was reading a book on lasers, and I had changed my mind. And that's why when I went back to my future, it wasn't there anymore. So I had to go back and convince myself not to take that path. And then going back, my future was there. So you're saying that you can go back and change things, but if you come back to the future, it's not going to be there. Is that correct?
If you go back to the past and change things, if you make a big enough impact, and this is all there again, it's all in choosing the right words, but not so much words, but just doing things in just the right way. Because some people have such an energy level that their intentions can be put out farther and greater. And what you experienced was you went in there to make changes, but maybe possibly, and this is, I have proof of this, or I am proof of this, that some of the changes we make cannot take effect because they are meant to happen the way they happen. Like I could go back to the past and let's say change a friend of mine health issues or automobile accident and make changes to try to prevent that, but it doesn't work because that accident was meant to happen beyond my control. Now, yes, we can control and change things, but if they are supposed to happen, there's really nothing we can do. And I know it sounds weird to put it that way, but there are some changes that we are not allowed to make, even if we try over and over, because they are meant to happen. And the reason they're meant to happen is because for some reason that betters for the future for that person or that family.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
It's almost that time here, so we've only got time for maybe one or two more. So this is your chance. If you got questions for Chris, let's hear them.
What's going on with the backside of the moon?
Did you hear about that? What's going on with the backside of the moon?
All right, one of my favorite topics, the backside of the moon. That's where the ETs are putting their supplies. They're putting their cattle, some of their that's where they store things over there. And I'll tell you the truth, if you go out at night with a telescope or a camera, if you have a big enough zoom, take about 15 or 20 photos. Zoom in on those. You will see shadows. Those are the ETs.
So you're telling me that ETs go for a Big Mac just as much as we do, is that what I'm hearing?
I believe so. And I'll tell you one more thing too. They like mayo.
Okay. Yeah, any other questions here in the room? I'm looking at the chat, seeing nothing in the chat. Oh, it's
I
an
think that.
awesome meeting. Thank you. Yep. Let's give Chris Harmon a big round of applause.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, Chris, it's really cool that you want to give everybody free classes here. I'm sure we'd all appreciate that. If someone wants to get in touch with you or contact you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh yes, I just started an 8-week course, but the next one starts January 1st. Send me an email at mufon.chris@yahoo.com. That's mufon.chris@yahoo.com. Send me an email, give me your name, and I'll put you down, add you to the list. It's free.
Wow, very cool. And that's a CHRIS. So yeah, very cool. That's great. Oh, and someone just put it in the chat. It was like, oh yeah, move on. Someone just put it in the chat. So yeah, if you're on Zoom, look in the chat. The email is right there.
I want to say that everything that I do, whether it be teaching or healing, reviewing, I do it all from inside my heart because the ETs want me to help people. And so I help people for free. I enjoy it and I will never stop.
Cool.
I will stop when I'm told to. Let's put it that way.
Cool. Sounds like a man on a mission. Good for you, Chris. Thank you very much. We at Minnesota MUFON, we all appreciate you. So have a great day, Chris. Take care. We'll be in touch.
Take care.
Are we going to see you in Irving, Texas next year?
Yes, count me in.
Cool, Connor. So if you want to meet Chris in person in Irving, Texas, head down to the MUFON Symposium. He will be there. You can talk with him in person. So cool. Can we hit the lights, please? So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for our meeting this month. So I want to thank Chris again. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank all of you on Zoom for showing up too. Next month, Richard Time is going to be here in person, talking about his fictional nonfiction book, or however you want to look at it, about his experiences in the NSA. So that should be very, very interesting. So thank you all for coming out. Have a great day. Take good care of yourselves. Take good care of each other. Until next time, Minnesota MUFON, keep your eyes on the skies. And we are out of here. Have a good night, everybody.